Guys, Argentina has a huge problem. Of course, Fernando, you talk about this all the damn time. The economic problems that Argentina has. The book you wrote specifically about that. Surviving the economic collapse. Hands free survival skills. What are you even talking about? No. Shh, it's not that. Argentina has a huge problem. Too many white people. What? White people. There are just too many white people in Argentina. I'm not even kidding you. Check this out. It's unbelievable.
Okay, so I want to chat a little bit about my culture shocks and experience as a Mexican American in Buenos Aires.
Mexican American is not a thing. You're either born in America or you're born in Mexico. You're probably an American lady that is just too full of herself and wants to be special by claiming to be Mexican American. As Floyd Mayweather clearly stated, he's not African American. He's just American. He just happens to be a black guy because of his ethnicity. Just like you don't go around saying that John Smith is an English American, you don't go around saying you're an African American or a Mexican American, or you just American, and that's all there is to it, unless you want to make a big deal about the color of your skin, which normal people that are not fucking racist usually don't.
Now that it's, I believe, month 3 of being here. So the program I'm doing, I'm not going to tell you which program because confidentiality, but the program I'm doing is language based, so I'm supposed to be speaking Spanish 100% of the time here. Mind you, Spanish is my first language. Perfect.
If it's perfect and it's your first language, why are you doing a language-based course in a Spanish-speaking country and are apparently surprised by it? But why are you even doing it? It's like an American guy going to UK to learn English. Do you really need it? Well, maybe you're not all that good at it.
And another component of the program that I'm doing is that I am enrolling directly into the universities in the city, and I'm taking courses alongside Argentine students. So I'm enrolled at Universidad de Buenos Aires, and I'm taking classes completely in Spanish with Argentine students. So it's not like program classes where they take us on field trips and such. No, like I'm actually here and like actually studying.
Is she serious? Yes, you're not in kindergarten. You actually go field trips.
So some of the first thing I noticed as a Mexican American who grew up in Southern California in a Mexican diaspora, and I go to Mexico yearly, see my family in Mexico, is how Buenos Aires is very. And me and my friend have actually been talking about, like, they don't look like American people. They look straight like Europeans. And so
what the flying fuck? What were you expecting? You go to Argentina, which is great majority Spanish, Italian immigrants. That's basically what you have for an enormous majority of the population. And you do have a lot of native population, like brown aboriginal looking kind of people, especially with more immigration coming from Peru and from Paraguay and Bolivia and all of these places where traditionally that's more of the population. What is the big surprise about finding white people in a country where the enormous majority are either first, second, or third generation from Europe? It just, and the fact that she goes like as if it's something bad. What is the problem with white, saying white people, as if it's a bad thing? And imagine going to China and saying, guys, I'm in China, this is great, but it's not fucking Chinese people. Or going to Africa, I'm in Africa, loving the pyramids, loving the lions, black people. It's so fucking stupid.
I think that's been really interesting for me to see as a Mexican American, because that goes to Mexico often, because when I go to Mexico, I see brown people, I see Afro-Mexican people, I don't see any white people, at least where I go to Mexico.
Yeah. You're an entitled American bitch, and you are one of the most racist, insufferable kind of human beings in the planet. And guys, you guys in the United States, my American audience, this bitch is on you. This is yours. You cannot throw it at Mexico. I know Mexican people. They're some of the nicest people in the planet. This 403 here that we have, fucking unbearable. So she goes to this place in Mexico. Let's make this perfectly clear. She's an American brown lady, right? She happens to have Mexican parents, like so many other millions of Americans that are born there and come from Mexican parents. She does look a certain way. But she's so entitled and wants to make so much of a big deal about her being a Mexican American when you're just an ordinary American. That's all there is. That happens to be brown looking. That's it. You're not all that special. You're just normal like everyone else. But because you go to Mexico once a year, to this fucking little town in Mexico that may well be, where you have what? Mexican brown looking people and some black, I don't know, a whole lot of black people, Mexicans. I'm sure there are. I mean, I'm not going to be an idiot like she is and pretend there couldn't be like African looking or ethnically African DNA from someone born in Mexico, so super integrated into Mexico, speaks perfect Spanish with a Mexican accent and is super proud of being Mexican, and he happens to be black as well. You also have fucking Canelo Alvarez, world champion boxer, who is super Mexican, extremely proud of being Mexican, and he's as white as a sheet of paper. He looks Irish. He's a redhead. So this racist idea of people having to be a different color, when even in your own fucking country, that does not exist. What ethnicity is an American? An American is what? White? Is it brown? Is it Asian? Yellow? Chinese? African? What is exactly the American ethnicity? And if you're not crazy, the answer is, well, it could be a number of things depending on the immigration that you're looking at. Why the hell would you think that does not apply to pretty much all other countries, especially the countries that are famous for their immigration? In the case of Argentina, it was a shitload of people that came in boats from Europe, specifically a lot from Spain, a lot from Italy, and yes, a lot of people from Germany as well. My wife's family from Italy. My own family, Spain. A business partner of my father-in-law, Austrian. You know, a guy from Austria. Right, he has all of the tradition and he looks like a fucking Austrian guy. What is the big surprise? Is he less Argentine? Well, no, he is what it is. But here's where it gets even more stupid, because we went through this when a racist, yet another racist American went to Argentina and wanted to make a big deal about Argentines hiding their black African population, which does not exist simply because it's not there. But because she could not see it because it doesn't exist, then Argentina is racist and hiding their black people. No. That's not the way it is. You know what happens when because we in Argentina, we have lots of problems, as you well know, especially the economy and shitload of corruption. But one of the problems we don't have this racist baggage. We actually do what one gentleman once said about not judging people by the color of the skin, but by the content of their character, something like that, right? So that's what we do. And when you do that and you are welcoming and inclusive, right, what ends up happening is that people integrate. And when you have a minority that integrates into a larger population, they integrate. And guess what happens? They become part of that population. It is insane that you have to explain these things, but just giving you the perfect Obama. You know who I'm talking about? The black guy that was president of your country, Obama. What would you say he is white? No. Would you say he's black? Yes. Well, it's actually both. Obama has a white mother, right? So he's 50-50. He looks black, but genetically speaking, he's 50-50. He's a mixed race, mulatto, what we call it in Spanish. Basically, that's it. And imagine what happens when a person like that becomes completely integrated in society, and then with the majority of the population being probably of a more European genetic background. Yes, you end up having that happen even more often. So it goes from 50% to 25%, and in 3 generations, it's less than 10% or so. And that's the point in which you have to go do a genetic analysis to even know what little percentage you have. And you know what's even crazier? That it's the natural thing. Unbelievably so. It's the most common thing in the world. Because guess what? Usually, and this is something that you can look it up yourself if you don't believe me, people tend to be more likely to end up hooking up, having kids with, yes, guess what? White people, because they find them more attractive for whatever reason. I'm not a fucking scientist. I can only tell you what I read, and these papers do exist. Look those up yourself. There is a lot in the cultural aspect of different countries that are not Western societies that simply prove this simple fact. If you go to India, for example, what is the most common sold skin product, beauty product in India? Whitening creams. Creams so as to make your skin look more white. That's the most sold product, beauty product in India. Basically, Indians want to be more white. Are they all racist? Are they all bastards scumbags? I don't know. I haven't been to India, not planning to do so anytime soon. But I can tell you that's what they buy the most. That's why they want. And when you interview people from India, they want to be more white. Trevor Noah, the asshole that you have, what is it, Comedy Central? That guy, he comes from Africa? Well, guess what? Guess why he was so popular in Africa in the first place? Because he has a white father. He was a mixed race guy. And based on his own grandmother, he was beautiful because he was more clear skinned than the people around him. That's what his own fucking grandmother was saying. Is she a racist monster? I don't go around judging people. I can tell you just what she said. If you go to Japan, guess what? They want to be more light-skinned. They sell the same shit product that they sell in India so as to have a more clear skin. They want to look more white. Why is it? Is everyone racist? Is everyone in Africa, everyone in India, everyone in China, everyone in Japan, are they all fucking racists that they want to have more clear skin? Is it because it was imposed by the imperialist English conquering the world? I don't have a fucking clue. I can only tell you that's what people want. If you see the anime cartoons, you see white people. That's what they do. And giant saucer eyes, round eyes, right? And usually they're going to be blue, right? That's obviously what they're more attracted to. So, in a society that is welcoming and allows the integration of other people, yeah, that's who they're going to be mingling with, marrying, having as wives and husbands, and having their kids with. And in 2, 3, 4 generations, Argentina is what you fucking end up with. So there's going to be a lot of people that are maybe a little more brownish colored looking, someone that's a bit more white or not. It is not that much of a fucking big deal. Normal people that have other things in their lives more worthy of even bringing up don't make this big deal about it, as our Mexican-American friend here is.
In Mexico. Another culture shock that I've experienced is that many places in Latin America are...
Oh, this bitch is all on you. Guys, from the United States, you owned it. This is all on you. You cannot throw this 403 on Mexicans because shit.
Known for their street food culture. Buenos Aires, I can say this now, I think doesn't really have that at all. Like, there's no street food at all. In Mexico, even in the US, you'll have hot dogs, tacos, nieve de garrafa, chapulines.
You don't have tacos and chapulines in fucking Buenos Aires. Well, no, because you're in Buenos Aires, you're in Mexico. So if you want tacos and chapulines being sold on the street, go to fucking Mexico. Now, hot dogs, they sell hot dogs all day long in Buenos Aires. It's kind of considered the more shittier food. You probably have a choripan, which is a more traditional and far more delicious version, because if there's one thing also that Argentina is known for, it's for food. Look at what Bourdain, the guy that did the traveling and food, Anthony Bourdain, he has passed, unfortunately, great guy. He did an episode specifically about food in Argentina. It's kind of known for that. And yes, maybe the traditional Argentine person favors the idea of actually sitting in a proper restaurant and having some asado or some of the food you can enjoy like a normal human being sitting on a table rather than just grabbing something and eating. You can have that. It is sold on the streets as well. Maybe not where you were, so maybe you have to do something that may blow your mind. Walk a little bit. if you walk a little bit more around the city, you will find lots of hot dogs being sold, and maybe something even better than a damn hot dog being sold in the streets of Buenos Aires. Even better, sit down in a restaurant, have some decent meal, and enjoy the food, which is what more normal people end up doing. You go to Argentina and eat a lot of beef and a lot of good wine.
You'll have like lots of that, like very like food culture that's very accessible to people like on the street, but I haven't really noticed that here in Buenos Aires. Another experience I've had, I honestly have no sense of self-perception, so I don't really know how I'm perceived. I think I'm perceived as a Mexican woman because one time I went to the bank.
Why would you be perceived as a Mexican woman when you're an American woman? Why? Simply because you're brown? You assume? I don't even know. I mean, if I see this woman and she speaks the way she speaks, obviously speaking fluent English with a strong American accent, I will assume she's American, which she fucking is. So how crazy do you have to be so self-centered and obsessed with your fake Mexican identity, which you obviously don't have, and you probably speak shit Spanish like most people that make a big deal about their Mexican heritage while being Americans.
To what's the word, take out money, Argentine pesos, and I showed him my American US passport, and I say, oh, I'm transferring this amount of US dollars to Mexican pesos in Spanish, and he looks at me and goes, did you mean Mexican pesos mexicanos? And I was like where did Mexico come from? Like,
you literally asked the guy to give you a Mexican pesos from your US dollars, and he says pesos mexicanos. That's the Spanish version of what you literally just said. You asked for Mexican pesos, and the guy in the Argentine back said pesos mexicanos. Yes, pesos mexicanos is what you just asked for.
I don't know. And a lot of the time, immediately after I start speaking, I'll be asked where I'm from, and to me, I don't know, I'm always kind of like, I don't know if I should be honest and say I'm Mexican, but then there's also, because
you're not Mexican, you're American. And you're surprised that people, you're in a university, you're obviously not there, you're a foreigner in another country. Yes, people will probably ask you, where the fuck are you from? It's the most normal ass conversation that educated people have when introducing one another, and the first thing you notice is that you're not from there.
Because in Latin America, something that I'm learning, race is completely different in the US and Latin America, but is that ethnicity isn't really prominent here. It's more so like nationality. So like if I explain, oh, I'm Mexican American.
Yes. For people that are not fucking insane, your ethnicity or what kind of melanin you have in your skin or how much of it, it really doesn't matter a whole fucking lot, because you're probably supposed to be more interesting as a person. So your nationality, where you're from, you're American, you're Canadian, you're Mexican. Oh, you're from Mexico. Oh, that's awesome, right? Yeah. No. I'm a fake fucking Mexican. I'm actually an American bitch that's intolerable. But yes, it's so crazy that people like this exist. What is it that you expect? People to judge you by the color? That's very much, unfortunately, very much an American thing from very much the left these days, making a big deal about something that in the rest of the world, as she's apparently waking up to, it is not. And it should not be. You should not be judged by the color of the skin. And yes, that's actually considered very damn racist.
And they're like, what does that mean? So your what does that mean? And I just always have to say, like, I have Mexican parents, but I grew up in the US.
I love how she's trying to make it like she's something special. Like, a brown American is something you haven't seen. You haven't seen an American with Mexican parents. You haven't seen there's no such thing as Mexican immigration in the United States, both legal and illegal. That's something of a novelty. Are you fucking insane? Do you not realize that in the entire planet, no one expects you to be, what is it that you think that people expect you to be when you are an American. Be what? You have to be what? White or black or Mexican or brown or whatever. It is insane that she...
Something that's also super different about the education system in Buenos Aires, particularly for me that's going to a public university compared to my private college experience in the US, is that courses are a lot longer. For example, I'm taking 3 courses and they only meet once a day, but they're either 4 or 6 hours, like that, like a day for that like period. Another thing I've experienced in the classroom is that I'm taking a Latin American history course because and
she said.
Every time, and my professor asked me the first day like where I'm from because he noticed my tone is off, and I told him, oh, I'm next.
No, you know what he noticed? That you can barely speak Spanish, which is most likely the case, as it is with most of these dumbasses that want to pretend to be Mexican when they're not. They're actually American and speak the most awful Spanish in the world. And they go around and expect people to, oh, you speak perfectly fluent Spanish. No, you barely speak any Spanish at all with the strongest accent ever. And yes, it is noticeable, right? It is going to be noticeable. And that's what you're being asked. It's not that you're special. It's that you think you speak better than you actually do.
Mexican American. And so now every time Mexico comes up, he points at me and he'll point at me and he'll expect me to know like every inch of Mexican history. And while I do, I don't know the exact treaty that was signed in 1854. I wish I did. I should know that, but...
You make a big deal about your fake Mexican identity when you're an entitled American 403. And when the guy said, okay, we have our Mexican student here, like, and we're talking about Mexican history, and you're offended by that, you are the one that made a big deal about being a Mexican when you're actually not a Mexican and there's nothing Mexican about you, right? Trying to claim that just because of the color, you obviously speak shit Spanish, you know nothing about Mexico, you don't even know that there's white Mexican people, and I mean like as white as a healthy human fucking being can be. Again, case in point, Canelo Álvarez and a ton of other people. I mean, I know Mexican people that are undistinguishable from someone that is from Italy or from Spain or from Germany. There's a lot of people that are born in Mexico that have whatever ethnicity or, you know, grandparents from God knows where.
Yeah, I don't know how to feel about that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Something else that's different about life in Buenos Aires that was a culture shock to me is that, so in English, we refer to Latin America as Latin Americans, Latinos, but in Spanish, particularly with...
Latin Americans, Latinos, the entire America Latina or Latin American thing, that is yet another American thing. That is United States, and in a pretty entitled, shitty manner, like labeling someone else in a way. No one speaks Latin in South America. Latino is what the entire Latino thing. You would be like Ibero-American, you know. Ibero-Americano would be the proper name for it if you want to get like, yeah, American with an Iberian ancestry, if you want to go there. But the entire Latino thing, we don't speak fucking Latin. Imagine if we said, yeah, the Germans from the United States. So you speak fucking German? No, you speak English. Well, the English people, even that would be more appropriate, and it's still not. It's still kind of fucked up. So the Latino thing in general, I mean, you know, we all try to get along with that bullshit, but no one speaks Latin in South America, or no one speaks Latin in Latin America, which is pretty ironic, or stupid, depending on how you want to look at it. Yeah, but it's going to be Spanish and a little bit of Portuguese here and there.
In Latin America, they refer to Latin America as America Latina. And all of Latin America is truly America. And so when they're referring to America, they're referring to Latin America. Everywhere from
Oh, no, she's such a dumb... Look, it's America is America. In Spanish, America is America. In English, you know how you say America in English? America. It is the same damn thing. And when you look at a damn map, you realize that yes, as she's doing with it is all of the damn continent. So yes, America is a continent. All of the continent, that's the American continent. Just like you have the European continent, the African continent, you have different continents that have names. And that's the name based on the Americo Vespuccio. Is it the famous Italian or Florence explorer? Well, that's where America or America comes from. Now, in the case of the United States, it's the United States of America. And the short version would be, instead of saying, yes, I'm United States of American, you just say American. Okay, that's, it's kind of misleading because, again, America, and it's been that way for fucking 500 years. America is all the continent, but in Spanish, it would be like Estados Unidos de América, right? Or something along those lines. It would be Estados Unidos de América, and the easy short version is estadounidense. Estadounidense sounds a lot better than, estadounidense sounds a lot better and rolls out of the tongue a lot easier. So estadounidense is basically how you call someone from the United States in Spanish. If you say he's an Americano, maybe some people will know what you're talking about. And a lot of people will go like, yeah, we're all Americanos. We're all from America, right? What are you even talking? No, it's estadounidense. Oh, okay. Right. And some people, will get a little bit more offended by, America is all of the continent. When you want to go start splitting hairs like that, but there's a simple linguistic explanation for it, which is it rolls a lot better estadounidense than estadounidense de América del Norte. And you have the American continent is basically divided in South America, Central America, and North America. That's basic geography, which she apparently did not learn.
Mexico down to, I believe Argentina is the most southern Latin American state. And if you say America when you're in reference to the US, they will be really, really mad because America is Latin America, not Estados Unidos.
America is not Latin America. And when you say America in Spanish, it's going to be America. And when you say America, no one will, because you say Estados Unidos, the United States. When you're speaking in Spanish, which this dumb obviously does not do nearly as much as she thinks she does. She's not a fluent Spanish speaker. It's Estados Unidos. Estados Unidos is perfectly understood by anyone that speaks Spanish. We always, when you say, no, viene de América, you're like mixing both languages, and you're probably not a native Spanish speaker, and it's going to be sounding a little bit more confusing. That's all there is to it. Not much of a big deal unless you really want to make it so.
And one thing about me is every time I travel, I have to find Mexican food.
Oh shit, this part.
Sorry, I just have to find Mexican food every time I travel. Like when I went to Amsterdam, I found a Mexican restaurant. When I'm in Boston, Montreal, I like to find Mexican restaurants. But
why doesn't she just move back to Mexico? If you love Mexico so much, she's the least Mexican person that I've ever seen. She's the exact opposite of what most laid-back, chill Mexicans actually are. She's just horrible. A horrible carbon-based life form.
It's very interesting. I've had various Mexican food here in Buenos Aires because Buenos Aires doesn't have access to the same seasonings and produce that Mexico does, which is really interesting because that's why the flavoring is always a little bit off, because they don't have access to the same chiles.
Oh fuck. So she wants to go to Buenos Aires and expect to find street food sold in Mexico in Buenos Aires, which of course no. She expects to find Mexican food, and right, fuck. Go back to fucking Mexico. I mean, not even go back. You're not even from there, but move to Mexico if you love Mexico so much. I mean, no one would have a problem with that. But yeah, and besides, if you really want to find good Mexican food, I'm damn sure you will find a ton of it, especially in Buenos Aires. It's a huge ass city, and it's full of Mexican immigrants, a lot of which opened up restaurants for sure. So you went to a shitty Mexican restaurant in Buenos Aires. Maybe go to a nicer one. I mean, she thinks that Mexican food is rare in South America, in Argentina? No, it's not. You just went to one that was not all that good and you found something that didn't taste as nice as you liked. Look, it is insane. It is insufferable. But again, guys, this is yours. You owe this one, okay? See you next time.